I pushed open the heavy wooden door, and right away, the smell hit me. Chalk dust, whiskey, and old wood, like the room hadn't changed in years. My boots echoed as I stepped inside, and the air felt thicker than last time. The lamps above the tables glowed that same sharp green, but tonight, the shadows seemed heavier, stretching farther across the floor like they didn't want to let go. I walked slow, my hood pulled over my head, eyes scanning the rows of tables. Every single one of them was lined up perfect. Green felt tops, dark wooden frames polished by years of hands leaning, hustlers arguing, money sliding across the rails. The sound of balls cracking used to be steady here, constant. Tonight, nothing. The silence made my chest tight, like the whole place was waiting on me. I reached the 9th table, my usual spot, and leaned the cue stick against my shoulder. My hand brushed the rail, and for a second, I swore the wood felt colder than it should have, like the chill of a basement wall. My stomach flipped. I pulled my hand back quick. This was the same hall as before, but something about it felt alive, like the walls were breathing, like the tables weren't just furniture. They were watching, waiting, whispering secrets I wasn't meant to hear yet. And even though no one else was around, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I set my cue on the rail and leaned down, listening. At first, I thought it was just the hum of the lights. But then, clear as day, I heard it. My name, soft, sliding across. It felt like the table itself had whispered. I froze, every hair on my arm standing straight up. I leaned closer, ear almost brushing the green cloth. That's when it shifted. Not just one voice anymore. 2, then 3, then a whole low chorus, like dozens of whispers stacked together, spilling out of every table in the hall. They weren't words I could catch, not all of them, but the sound filled my head. Some voices were pleading, some angry, some just repeating the same thing over and over, like they were stuck on a loop. I backed away, heart racing, but the sound followed me. I swear the tables themselves were breathing, pulling in air, exhaling names, groans, curses. I clutched the cue in both hands, looking around, waiting for someone, anyone, to pop out laughing, like it was some twisted prank. But the hall was empty, except for the voices. And that's when I realized they weren't talking to each other. They were talking to me. I heard it before I saw it. The soft slide of wood against wood, the faint roll of something heavy on felt. My head snapped toward table 9. The cue ball had started to move all on its own. Slow at first, like somebody nudged it, then faster, straight into the rack. The crack of the brake slammed through the hall so hard my ears rang. The ball scattered, spinning, bouncing off rails, but none of them stopped. They kept circling, like they were caught in some orbit I couldn't control. My chest tightened. I gripped the cue stick so hard my knuckles turned white, but I couldn't look away. I swore I saw faces in the shine of the rolling balls, eyes, mouths, flashes of people who didn't belong to this world anymore. They opened and closed like they were trying to speak, but all I heard was that endless grinding spin. And then silence. Not because the ball stopped, they were still moving, spinning, but because the rest of the world seemed to shut down. No hum of lights, no whisper of air, just me, those balls, and the feeling that somebody or something had just made the first move. I spun around, and that's when I saw them. The corners of the hall weren't empty anymore. Shadows leaned against the walls, tall and still, like men waiting their turn. They weren't clear shapes, more like darkness, pulled into human form. Arms crossed, heads tilted like they were studying me. My chest locked up. I wasn't imagining this. One of them broke away from the wall, moving without sound, drifting more than walking. It stopped just shy of the light over my table, like the glow itself was holding it back. No eyes, no face, just the heavy weight of being watched. I tightened my grip on the cue stick, planting my feet like I was standing at the edge of a fight I didn't ask for. I wanted to yell, wanted to call somebody in, but I knew nobody would see what I was seeing. This was mine to deal with. My breath came hard and fast, echoing too loud in the empty room. The shadows didn't move closer, but I swear I felt them leaning in, pressing against me without ever crossing the line. And I understood. This wasn't just Leon's hall anymore. This was theirs. And now, I'd been invited into their game. The silence stretched until I thought I'd break before the shadows did. Then, one of them lifted an arm, slow, deliberate, and pointed straight at the table. No words, no sound, just that motion. The others leaned in at once, dark heads angling forward like they were hungry to see what I'd do. My mouth went dry. I reached for the chalk, rubbing it against the tip of the cue. The scrape sounded sharp, too sharp, slicing through the silence like a knife. My hands shook, but I forced them steady, setting the rack and lining up the balls. Every move felt heavier, like something else was weighing down my arms. I glanced up once. Those shadows hadn't budged, still in waiting, like judges in some trial I never signed up for. My heart thumped so hard, I thought it might shake the stick from my hands. I leaned over the table, cue tight, eyes locked on the white ball. The room didn't just want me here, it was demanding me to play. And deep down, I knew this wasn't just about the game. This was a test to see if I belong, or if I break before the break. The cue cracked against the ball, and the break scattered across the table, sharp and clean. But before I could even lift my head, the whole room shifted. The overhead lamps flickered hard, shadows tearing loose from the walls, stretching long across the tables like claws. My stomach dropped. The balls didn't just move. They lined themselves up, smooth and deliberate, spelling out a shape I couldn't mistake. A perfect arrow, pointing straight at the far wall where Leon used to sit. My throat tightened. That chair was empty, but the air around it shimmered, like heat waves rising off asphalt. I heard him then. Leon's voice, low but clear, rumbling through the hall. "Vegas, it's waiting." I staggered back a step, cue stick almost slipping from my grip. The shadows collapsed into themselves, vanishing just as quick as they came. The hall went dead still, light steady, tables quiet, like nothing happened. But the arrow on the felt was still there, clear as day. And I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't just about pool anymore. I'd been chosen, and there was no walking away. Thanks for watching. If that story hit different, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Mystic Melanin is all about real black stories with a twist. A little truth, a little fear. Appreciate you being here. Be safe. And I'll see you next time.